Hey, and welcome to Chicago Beer Pass. I'm Brad Chmielewski,
Brad, what's up, man? I'm Nik White.
and we're on location this week.
We're rolling with these on locations, man. Our last on location was with Randy Mosher, right? And Forbidden Root.
I know that
I know, Randy.
Today, man, we're on the Northwest Side with gold medalist Gary Gulley, Alarmist Brewing.
Aaron Dahl, who brewed the beer.
Oh, see, that's nice.
guy. He didn't want to steal the medal. Yeah, he's giving you credit.
Yeah.
He's like,
No, yeah.
Yeah, Aaron,
And
Gary,
Dahl.
thanks for joining us. This is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Nick saw Gary at Beer Hoptacular.
Yes.
Yep.
And was like, you have to come here and record now.
I'm like, dude, what are you doing here, man? He's got taco in the bag, you know. And I'm like, what are you doing here, man? I was like, what you doing? Why you not in Denver?
So, funny story with that.
We
That
just
was
had
my
fun,
wife and
so.
I had our 17th wedding anniversary on that last Friday.
Oh, right on.
And we went to a restaurant in our home neighborhood, Lincoln Square, called The Warbler, which is awesome.
Okay.
And I was drinking mezcal cocktails.
nice.
Because as much as, I like my craft beer, I like my mezcal tequila cocktails, and managed to wake up on Saturday with a bit of a hangover.
Okay.
And the taco in the bag folks helped me, which they're also in Lincoln Square, which is a great coincidence because they were at the festival. But oh my God. So shout out to Taco in the Bag in Lincoln Square on Lincoln Avenue. Seriously.
Official sponsor.
Yeah. No, those guys.
Saved you?
That food, it is
ibuprofen.
absolutely, I'm not kidding, it's the second time I've had it, it's absolutely terrific, and it saved me from a really bad hangover, and then we found out about the GABF thing, and we're like, what?
So you weren't at GABF because of the anniversary? Because if they wouldn't have moved it, you might have been there, or...
We just,
I
it
think the
costs a
correct
lot of
answer
money.
for that is yes. Just say yes.
Yes, because I love my
interfere with
wife.
my wedding
Because I love my wife dearly. We've just never gone to GABF because we don't have a lot of money. We're small, and it takes a big commitment financially and time wise, and we don't distribute beer out there, so we just sent beer in for the competition like a lot of breweries do.
Yeah.
So I've never actually been to it, even as a spectator. That's going to change.
Neither.
but,
Yeah, I haven't been
We'll
either.
be there next year.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So
Aaron, have you gone before?
I've never been either.
Nick's the only one.
Man, I've been a few times. I've been maybe a couple, 2-3 times.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shit show, but Denver's such a fun town that it all
Right.
balances.
Well,
out.
that's the thing. I love Colorado.
Yeah.
So that's sort of my dream state, when I'm old someday to go live in. But
And next year the Brewers Conference is in Denver too, right?
is it?
Yeah, so it's like going to be a
Might be
doubleheader
they
of.
do that shit. I don't understand that.
So I think we might be going to Denver twice.
Oh my
next
God.
year, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll be there. So
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, the award. Let's talk about that, and then we can kind of backtrack.
Yeah,
this was,
that's true, right? I mean,
right? We dove into it like head first. We don't even know.
I was picking up. I was picking up Aaron for the Spear Festival on Saturday, Beer Hoptacular, and he lives really close to Revolution's production facility.
Yep.
So I was driving down, picking him up, and we're going to head over to this heliport, which I didn't even know Chicago had a heliport.
Right?
And yeah, right. And I texted him. I said, "Hey, Aaron, I'm here. I'm on the corner. Come out." And he texted me back and said, "What did you say?"
And literally, I was live streaming it. I'm like, they are literally about to announce the winners for this category because they saved it for the end of the award ceremony because it was the first time in
the most
festival.
hyped.
It was the most hyped. It had the most entries, and they literally skipped over it during the festival. Like, we're gonna save that for last. So I'm like, I just happened to be. I'm like, I didn't think we were gonna win. I'm like, I'm watching it. I'll be downstairs in like a minute. They're just about to announce the winner.
Yeah.
So.
And I didn't know they were live streaming it. I was following the Twitter feed for guys drinking beer.
Yeah, they were there.
Carl,
Were they like live tweeting or something?
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay. And then he texted me this and said, yeah, I'm listening. And I'm like, okay. And I didn't really think much about it. And then Paul Schroeder
Yep.
from Brewer Supply Group, who is a good friend of ours, and he was there. He sends me a text and he says, "Do you want me to pick up your medal?" And I thought he was fucking with me. I'm like, "What's he talking about?" And then Aaron texts me and says, "We just won." And I'm like, "What?" And all of a sudden it was like, Like we were just like it did, like time just stopped.
Oh, because that was the only beer you submitted.
That's the only beer submitted.
Okay.
And
One beer.
And we were really bad about submitting beers to competitions. I mean, we've only submitted maybe 4 ever. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, we submitted
maybe
to World
5.
Beer Cup.
World Beer
this
Cup
year,
we sent.
and then I think we submitted the GABF last year.
What did
as
we send to GABF? I don't even.
Not hazy beer.
Yeah. So.
Or light Belgian beer and a blonde
Yeah,
ale.
that's
Okay.
right. So it just, I was like, and I was sitting there like on Friday and early Saturday. I'm thinking, you know what? We need to really focus on these beer competitions to really, because we need this to really boost our standing. Because I mean,
Was that an impression of yourself?
that's an impression of myself.
By the way.
Yeah, that's an impression of myself.
We really need to focus on
That's
this.
the pep
We
talk.
need
in
to
the
focus
bathroom,
on
like,
this. Makes me sound even older than I am. But I think we were. I mean, I personally was frustrated. But then again, we hadn't like done a lot of submitted. But I mean, I just, we think we make really good beers. But of course, every brewery thinks they make good beers.
Sure.
So that's not necessarily the best litmus test in the world. But we had people in our tap room telling us, "Oh, we love these beers." But then again, I don't know. I mean, you go to beer festivals and be like, "Oh, this is the best beer we've had all day." Well, I'm sure they tell every other brewery this shit too. So, but we just
fill me
really
up all the
felt
way.
that at least
You're
as
Don't ask me for a ticket.
Also,
This is
I'm out
great.
of tickets, but
but we just felt. I mean, we've always felt that. Not like in a bragging way, we just felt like our beers were really well made. Not all of them, we've definitely made some mistakes, but we just felt that in general they were, balanced and easy to drink, and I don't know, and we really thought Lejeune was a really tasty beer, of course, but we had other ones. We've had some of the, I won't name them, but some of the big guys in the business, and I don't know, I personally felt they were a little heavy-handed with some of the hops and stuff. I felt like it was like vegetal, and I think, Aaron, you've had some of those, and what did you think about those? Some of the big guys.
I've had several, and they're just. I mean, some people are into that because it's like I've had them when they're a month old, and people are like, "Oh, well, that's too old." I'm like, well, I think
Like Jesus.
I think a beer should be able to last a month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, because most
You get-
stores will say like 120 days or
Right,
whatever at least.
but some
right?
people
Yeah.
aren't into that. Like, oh, I only drink it if it's a week old, and then it turns into it starts getting oxidized, and it smells like cardboard because there's
we've run into a lot of that.
so many hops in the
including
beer.
our beers.
It's just not.
And
it's
beer
not
drinkers
stable.
are lazy. Like I forgot about this beer that I had in there
Yeah.
because I either bought something new or I just really drank too much last week. I was
Yeah.
like taking a break, and now it's
Right.
2 weeks old.
Right.
Oh crap!
Yeah,
It's already done.
But
in some of
mean-
these instances, but
I would say Lejeune.
And it's Lejeune. I've been saying Lejuice this whole time.
Yeah.
Lejeune.
You can say, you know what? You
Oh,
can say
whatever.
What
I mean, it's-
most of
it's
the people here say
French.
"lait jus," which is
French for the
plural. I
juice.
took French for
That's-
4 years, so "lait" would be multiple. So it's just one juice.
Wait, did you
Le
really? You
jus.
took French for 4 years?
I took 4.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really helped me out in life. But I think, and I was worried. I was talking to Aaron actually about this last week. I'm like, well, I mean, I have judged homebrew competitions, and what usually happens is the beer, I shouldn't say this always, but especially like in the hoppy beer categories, if your beer is not really assertive, people don't really pay attention to it. And I think part of it's just like your palate gets fatigued as you go along through the judging. You may be doing 10, 12 beers, and that's a lot of beers. And your palate just gets fatigued. And I was like, well, Lejeune, I mean, we think it's a phenomenal beer, obviously, because we make it, but we didn't think it would compete with some of these more highly hopped, stronger tasting beers, but we thought it should. And I'll be goddamn, it did. And I can tell you what, there's no more anybody surprised than we are. I mean,
Yeah.
we've worked our ass off on this, and Aaron has like we always talk about iteration, like iterate, try this from a software background for me, like try new things, and see what works. And Aaron's been doing that, and it's oh my god.
Something I've noticed with your guys' hazy beers, they often come off either spicier or like maybe it's the hoppy greenness of them.
It's true.
They're less, I want to say, juicy, orange juice, and they have like a little bit of like a bite or a tingle, and I think
Right.
that helps them a lot in this like.
Well, that's because we put
juice.
sriracha.
Yeah. category.
So
You're not supposed to give out.
So industry secret,
I don't
everybody,
know.
we put sriracha
Sponsored by
in it.
Sriracha.
If that's something you
Oh, that's interesting.
paid attention to, or
Yeah.
if it's the combination of the hop blend that you
Aaron, you're the brewer.
but I do get like a more
In-
bitter bite to it, I guess.
In general, well, not in general. I'm just not a sweet person.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a very sweet, obviously.
No, he's a very bitter.
I don't like
piece of
overly
person.
sweet beers. I don't eat any sweets. That's just not how my
Okay.
palate leans. So when I design a beer, I'm very cautious about that. So, and I've had a lot of, the hazy beers that are just like crazy sweet. And it just tastes like a sweet pine cone almost. And I kind of wanted it to have a little bit of bite, but not be bitter, but still be on the drier side and
So that-
have all the characteristics you're looking for in that style of beer, but without being, crazy sweet.
and have that
So-
IPA kind of.
Yeah, I mean a little bit, not be crazy bitter, but still have
Right.
a smoother bite, a little bit, but not. It's not a bitter beer by any means.
Yeah.
It's still, you're drinking an IPA when you're drinking it.
Yeah, because we like the juice bombs that are just, juice from front to back. I think when we had it on the show, we have the show, and then we have like this episode afterwards where we just drink one beer.
Yeah.
And we had Le
Yeah.
Jus.
Because I came
on
up
the
here
show.
during
Yeah.
Chicago Craft Beer Week when you guys officially released it in cans,
Right.
the first release
Yeah.
of it. So
Yeah, that's
And
right.
that's the first thing we said was like, man, it's got everything that all the other ones have, but it has like this beer integrity of this spiciness in there that makes it kind of cool.
Yeah.
So it was a fun ride, that beer. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad you guys picked that out because that kind of was the goal with that beer
Nice.
for sure.
This is a big deal, man. So for the last 5 years at GABF, right? The top two categories were IPA and double IPA.
Yeah.
Right, for 5 years running, and then this is the debut of this category. 391 entries, the biggest category in the history of the fest.
Yeah,
And
right.
Alarmist walks away with the gold. How do
Still
we get-
doesn't feel real. Sorry. Hearing
Yeah,
you,
we're like.
So it's
Gary
390
texted me last night. He's like, dude, did we
I
really win?
keep
I'm
texting him.
I'm
Every night I've been
yes.
texting. I can't believe we won this.
Like, yes, we did.
And it
I
was-
mean, I think our beers. I love our beer. I think it's great. But Jesus Christ, with 390
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally calculating the channel. I'm like, well, probably half of them are probably crap. I'm just saying, and I'm thinking. So now we went from a 0.25% chance to a 0.5% chance, and I'm like thinking, well, that's not bad. I mean,
Still-
it's better than Mega Millions, So
Yeah.
And this was across single and double. I didn't even know double was going to be a category.
Oh, double
But-
hazy.
Yeah.
I
well, they
didn't
had
know
double,
that
and that's
either.
where Corridor.
Oh yeah, cheers to
won.
Corridor.
Corridor
man,
got
'cause, Corridor's
silver
got
for that, right?
Yeah.
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 And just so we're clear, well, this is probably the point where we should point, the people who helped us, right? Because we didn't do this on our own initially,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, how'd you guys
who
get to
do
this
we-
point,
Yeah, so
Gary
stepping
Gulley?
back now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
How'd you
Well,
guys get
I'll
here?
start with
Well-
the thinking process, and then Aaron can maybe continue with
Give
the
some
brewing
shout-outs.
process, the shout-outs. So, it's very funny because somewhere on social media there's I don't know if it's a Facebook, Instagram, hell, I don't know, but we were goes back to
This is
20
probably 2 years ago,
20,
at least.
yeah, 2016.
If not more.
We were cleaning out the brew kettle back when I actually brewed, and out comes all the hop matter, and I put it in a glass, and I said, and we posted and said, hey, look, we just did a New England IPA. So of course we're making fun of this style because we were being judgmental assholes because we actually didn't know anything about the style. So shame on us. And then we were at Beer Under. The whole thing for us, the reason Le Jus exists is because we went to Beer Under Glass, which is a big Chicago beer festival during Chicago Craft Beer Week. And it's one of the best
Might be the
festivals
best
in
one.
Chicago. Yeah.
This is one of my favorites for sure.
And it's at the, what's it, the Garfield?
Garfield Park Conservatory.
Yeah, it's the most beautiful location you'll ever find. And that was 2017, right?
Last year.
Yeah, and I see Michael.
That was 2017.
It was 12 months ago. Gary,
Let
12 months
me
ago,
let me
baby.
do my calculations. So Michael Palin from Microphone, he's got a line of people, and I'm like, why don't we never have a line of people? And then he's doing I think it's Check 1 2, which was his New England IPA or one of them. And I went up and tried it, and I said yeah, sorry, I said Aaron, sorry, I said
No, it's all good.
I go. Aaron said he's never going to brew a New England IPA. What I should have said is, we're never. I threw you under the bus.
That's fine.
And Michael Palin.
These are my words.
And Michael Palin says, you should, because that's what the kids love. I'm like, okay. And I didn't really think much about it, but then I drank the beer. And I was like, wow, this is pretty good. This is really interesting beer. And I didn't know, we literally didn't know what it was. And then BJ Pitchman, who was the head brewer for Forbidden Root, who I've known for a long time back from homebrewing days, I went up to him, and you know how tall he is, so I had to look up at him. And I said, and we started talking about it. I said, hey, what's the deal with this New England IPA? And he's like, dude. And he starts telling me, he's like, you got to look up Google biotransformation. And then he starts giving me, he's like, and then you got to get this London Ale 3 yeast and all this stuff. And I'm like, what? So he's like, trust me. And I go, I thought it was just like you weren't filtering the beer, which we don't, but no one does. Very few breweries filter beer. But I'm like, it's just like you don't let it cold crash enough, and you let all the gunk get into your beer. And he's like, no. And I'm like, really? He's like, no, you foolish child.
Is that what he actually called?
That's how I thought. And then we smoked a cigarette, which I shouldn't do. And then I was like, oh. So I started thinking about it, and I started looking into it. And then the next week, I talked to Aaron.
Yep.
And so I'm not like a dictator. I'm not like, hey, Aaron, you need to brew this, because this is Aaron's world back here. But I got to have some kind of influence. And I said, Aaron, and I told him this story, and I said, we should at least look into it. And Aaron, what did you do? He said, fuck you, Gary.
No. I said, okay.
And he took your cigarette. Started smoking.
I said, no, I was like, I was incredibly hesitant as well. But then, for me, I'm like, all right, well, I viewed it as a challenge. So I'm like, well, what I need, my process is, I'm like, all right, I need to drink every example of this style I can get my hands on and kind of figure out what makes the style tick. So I'm like, cool. And I already had an opinion of it because a few that I had weren't that good. And then one of my buddies, Roger, was working at Corridor at the time. He now works at Maplewood, but I had previously spoken to him about it, and I had one of his beers, and then it it clicked. I'm like, this is actually really good. It was almost like almost going back to that original craft beer moment for me, like when you have your first craft beer that is the reason we're all here, where you're like, oh, this is incredible. Like, I'm gonna chase this, and it's inspiring. Like so I had that one beer from him, and I'm like, okay, like I kind of get it. So I started picking a bunch of people's brains. I'm like, hey, how do you? Not asking for secrets. I was like, hey, how do you guys approach this style?
And during this time, by the way, he kept bringing beers back here.
Yeah,
because
I'm like, hey, try this.
Yeah.
Like,
and all of a sudden,
what do you like about it? What don't you like about it?
He had a sparkle in his eye. I'm like, dang.
Oh, it was exciting. It's like a new thing. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you even brew this thing? So I needed to do my research phase before I would even consider brewing.
Which I love, because that's exactly how I do shit from my background. So it's really cool to see Mr. Art School guy and I'm Mr. Engineering School guy, and we sort of have this process of how to do it. And Aaron went down the rabbit hole. And I'm like, okay. I mean, he went nuts, and it was fucking awesome.
I think it's interesting that it is a style that's like the first craft beer you had kind of thing, because sours, they don't do that, where they're like, I'm supposed to like this, and I have to figure out why. Like, You're having to learn too much about beer to like sours, really. But then
very polarizing.
Yeah, and then hazy IPAs, you have a lot of bad ones. Like, you have a lot of bad beer when you first start drinking. You're like, I don't think I like this.
That was your path. You didn't like them at first.
I don't think I like this.
Right.
And then you fall on ones you're like, oh, that's
and then
what
it
they're
makes
supposed
sense.
to be.
It's that again, that moment where it clicks. It makes sense. You're like, oh.
Just as a little aside, if you want, you can still watch the awards ceremony for all you beer nerds, because I just watched it like 2 days ago. It's on some streaming thing, and the guy who's announcing it, he actually made some comments, because they saved it to the very last category of the night, because that was like, and he said, it's time to realize this is a legitimate style, and we're not going to make fun of it, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess people are still, and there's still plenty of breweries that think that way, and I can't we can't diss them because we were the exact same people. So it's just a different way of thinking. But yeah, I mean, this style is going nowhere. I mean, it's here to stay. And if the worst case scenario is it's going to change the way IPAs are brewed, period.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but back to Aaron and your process.
Yeah, I mean, so that was it. I just drank everyone I could, and then I got around this time last year, we brewed our first, Hazy IPA, which is called Fuzz Pedal.
Okay.
Yeah, probably literally a year ago it came out here.
Now, Aaron,
It was my first attempt at the style.
We did the.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Backtrack a little bit. We also
Sorry, Ari.
around this time last year we brewed a collaboration with Maplewood called Juice Pantsless. And I would say that was our first, hazy beer.
Right, because I think around that time, it was Oak Park Microbrew, so Gary's like, oh, I think we're going to do this. I was like, yeah, you probably should. Like,
Right.
And that was the collaboration.
Those memories are a blur.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, you got to figure out, like, your process. Like, let's go.
But we had
work with the people doing it
Roger,
right.
Roger and Adam, right, from
Both,
Maplewood.
No, Roger wasn't with Maplewood at that time.
Oh,
it was
yeah, that's right.
Big Adam and Little Adam.
Well, that's right, the two Adams.
Oh yeah, they helped me out a lot too. I was able to get some, tips and tricks from them, and
Yeah.
they've always been awesome. They're just great dudes in general. They've always been awesome to us, and they like, you guys want to do this collab? Because they had how that started was they had a beer called Juice Pants, and we make pantsless pale ale. So I'm like, again, funny story, Beer Under Glass. I was talking to Maplewood there, and that's how that collab started. Because I'm like, guys, we should do Juice Pantsless. They're like, let's do it. And that's how that started too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird how it all fell
It's
together.
crazy. Yeah, so that 2017 Beer Under Glass.
Yeah,
Very
if you weren't
significant.
there, you should have been there. It was
And
pretty good.
if you folks don't go to Beer Under
So-
Glass, like if you don't live in Chicago, you should fly in because it's a really cool fest.
You guys remember a lot from that. I usually don't remember
I don't
most
remember
of
it.
what happens.
Yeah, it's always a good time, for sure.
But then we also had so Roger was at Corridor.
Yep.
And then who else helped us? What about Old Irving?
I talked to a bunch of people, like, my
Trevor
buddy
at Old
Trevor from
Irving.
Old Irving, Adrian, who was working at Dry Hop at the time. He's now at Five Rabbit.
But we had
Those were kind of the major players who really, showed me the way.
shout out to all those people because we wouldn't be here. They helped us, and then Aaron took off running with it and then made it his own. So, but we wouldn't be here without all those people. So,
And now you have multiple versions and fruit crashed one,
Right.
well, we call it riffing, right? And we riff on the style, and it's really fun. The problem is now we've got to make a lot of Le Jus because, as you can imagine, we're getting lots of requests from distributors and
Surprise,
stores.
surprise.
Yeah, and it's the greatest problem in
Funny
the
how that
world
works.
to have. Because I'll be honest. I mean, and Brad, you're an investor in this brewery, right?
I've
So
been here before when there was no heat.
yeah, and we struggled for the first. The first year was just a shit show trying to figure stuff out, and then not until we got the tap room up and running did things start to kind of equalize out. And then we were doing IPAs and just kind of beers like everybody else does. And Le Jus, even before the GABF, sort of really it's been taken off for us, and we were already running behind.
Okay.
And we were trying to catch up, and we've opened up some distribution, but we only sell our beer in the Chicago area and the suburbs.
Yeah.
Right?
You guys self-distro?
No, we go through the Miller cluster, so
Okay.
it's Chicago Beverage, Malarkey, Town and Country.
All right, cool.
Primarily.
But we go, so we're just now launching like in McHenry County, down in Joliet,
Yep.
and we already ran out. We ran out of Le Jus already before this award. So, now we're like shitting ourselves because we've got to figure out, now as the business guy, I got to figure out a whole bunch of things behind the scenes to figure out how to make this rip of production. We've got 4 fermenters, and we got to support the tap room and make sure we have different beers on, because I really don't want our customers coming in the tap room and they only have 12 taps of Lejeune. So that would be kind of boring. So we've got a lot of
funny though. Like,
we have a
joked
lot of
about one night, like
yeah.
we do our own tap takeover.
Lejeune tap. So we gotta.
Like what? That doesn't even make sense.
So we and the big thing is we just got our canning line this year, which has changed things for us significantly.
That's been the biggest game changer, I would say,
Yeah,
in the history of the brewery. That really changed everything.
And it's been 3 years now, right?
We started in
It's been
2015 and early 20. Oh God.
Right.
And I mean this. You know, we were just, as a business, we were just sort of getting by. We weren't making a lot of money, just sort of getting in. It's a tough business, right? You got a lot of money you got to throw into the equipment, and then it's just, you know, it's just a tough business, especially right now. And this changes everything for us. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we are so grateful, and for all the help we had and all these judges and everything, because I mean, we were working our asses off, and we really felt that this beer was really good, in addition to the other beers we make, and to have it recognized like this is just like we were. And I didn't tell the whole story, so we were, when I was picking Aaron up, you know, I was waiting for him, and I called my wife.
Saturday, the day of the awards.
Yeah, the day of the awards, and I called my wife.
We're trying to make our way to, you know, said festival.
Yeah.
But we found out while Gary was about to pick me up.
Yeah. So I called my wife and I said, we won. She goes, what do you mean we won? And I go, we won the gold. And my wife started crying.
Oh, man.
Because she understood the significance. Yeah. And then my teenager, Gavin, he goes, well, I guess me and my brother can't complain about the brewery anymore. Because they're always complaining about, oh, you're always at the brewery, or why can't we go to Europe and stuff, like, because all of our money's at the brewery. Yeah. So it's
oh, so they have like this. They have a different relationship with this place. Than you guys do.
Yeah. Like they're not looking at like, oh, someday I'm gonna be working here. And they're like, yeah, I want a PlayStation. So, but we're, you know,
when they're older, they'll probably. Think
they'll figure it out. But it's just I mean, because you know, I left a high-paying technology job, and you know, just this has been great for us. This award changes everything for us, and we couldn't be more grateful, and we were so excited to get this out to the market. So
on the style itself, like Chicago cleaned up in that category.
You got to start calling it Chicago IPA. I think Sherrod said that. We got to start doing that now.
And then I believe, Jonathan Sherrod mentioned Omega yeast. 5 of them use Omega yeast. That's here in Chicago too. 5 of the beers in the awards.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That won.
Yeah,
So
they're great.
Yeah. So Omega yeast is so just sort of a behind the scenes thing. Until a few years ago, the only place you could get beer yeast, even as home brewers, but also commercially, was White Labs and Y Yeast, right? Oregon
BSI.
and BSI.
Yeah.
So Colorado, Oregon, and California, and then Lance Shaner. Sorry, Lance.
Close.
They started a little yeast company here in Chicago, and they're only like a mile away. So we go pick up our yeast fresh, which is great. Because otherwise they have to ship it cold overnight and all this stuff. So Lance spends a lot of time making yeast for New England IPAs.
so
right?
I can't even imagine, like, for you guys winning gold, but then for their business too. Like,
Lance texts me. He's like, "Can we like mention you guys?" I'm like, "Absolutely."
Yeah, like,
so
of course.
And we actually have Aaron, why don't you talk about that?
We actually just brewed a beer with them.
oh, awesome.
So
With Omega.
yeah, which is even, again, this happened last week, right before all this happened. So it's just weird that all these pieces.
And what is that beer, Aaron?
We did our first ever kettle sour with Omega yeast. Again, much like the hazy beer, I was very hesitant to brew a kettle sour just because I had never done one before. I've had some really bad kettle sours that smell like baby diapers and vomit and all those lovely off flavors, and I didn't want to.
I don't understand, why is that a problem?
I didn't ever want to do that, but you know, we met some cool people over there, and they're like, you know, shout out to Taylor and Bianca, and they're like, we should do something together. I'm like, well, maybe we do a kettle sour. Like, yeah, let's do it. And so we brewed our first kettle sour with them last week. So
It's in that tank
it's
right
in that
there.
little tank right there. So
And it's gonna be called. What's it gonna be called?
it's gonna be called In Waves.
In Waves, and we'll be canning it soon.
It's gonna be a little hoppy because I dry hopped it with a hop called Citra, I think it's called.
It's a new hop. No one knows of it yet.
Yeah.
Just got named.
Just got named.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
just-
hop 87.
We were gonna call it Aaron, but
Yeah, so they were great. They, you know, again, I was a little nervous about brewing that style, but they kind of like, it's fine. Like, you got this. Like, do this and this, and
And then you guys
everything went great, and the beer tastes great so far.
you have a
and
brewed
so-
IPA, which is like this new
Yeah, we just did a
trend
brewed
that seems
IPA
to be
too.
popping up too.
Yeah, we've definitely.
the one I just
On
got.
that note, I mean, we've been here for 3 years, and again, it all comes back to that beer. But we were fairly conservative the first couple of years.
Oh
we
my
brewed
God.
we brewed 3 beers
Jesus.
essentially, and because that was kind of like an old school.
well, we
beer
didn't have
model.
a tap room, so
Didn't have a tap room.
we
It's
couldn't like brew 25 beers and expect
right.
distribution.
We're like, let's
to
brew
pull
the
it in.
flagships, focus on that, and because that's what you used to do.
Right.
Obviously, that's not the case
Very
anymore.
old model.
So
And
since
the old Gulster didn't quite get fast enough to adapt. So now we're getting there.
now we're trying all sorts of crazy
Yeah.
stuff. So.
Well, the fact that we have our own canning line really frees us up and gives us some flexibility. So, and then the tap room, of course. But yeah, it's weird because we can do whatever we want now, right? So we can do we have the what you call bright cans, which are the blank cans with a sticker on it, right? That's your label. We got a machine to put that on, so we can do whatever the hell we want. If we do a small batch of beer, we can say, all right, let's can 50 cases of it, and we'll sell it here in the tap room. So
And you're doing a can release every 2 weeks about?
I've been trying to crank it out. I like to keep it interesting, and it's been almost every 2 weeks, which has been again great because it keeps people engaged, keeps people interested. Like, oh, they're coming up. Like, people want new, and
Right.
in addition to releasing the flagships as well, but we're trying to cut in all these new beers as well to keep it interesting.
and it's fun for
Fresh, and it's-
Aaron.
yeah, it's
Aaron
a
enjoys
huge-
like doing some new stuff.
It's a
I'm gonna
huge
speak for
creative
Aaron right now.
outlet. Yeah, Aaron, like you can't talk.
Aaron,
No.
shut up.
See,
Speaking of which, what are we canning this week, Aaron?
we're canning Fuss Puddle again, which is the first hazy IPA we ever brewed.
By ourselves.
Last year we only kegged it and served it here primarily, but yeah, for almost like the 1 year anniversary of that style, I'm like, we should brew it again and
Yeah.
put it in a can. So
How'd you guys meet? Because it was just you in the beginning, right?
yeah.
And then
We met randomly at. It's funny. I was just talking to Christian Bird about this today because he used to work at Brew Camp, the original Brew Camp, which is
homebrew
a
shop.
which is a homebrew shop. The original location when I was off of Lincoln there.
yeah.
It was right by Bottles and Cans, actually.
And and we were there. We just both happened to be there for some random
Yeah, that's
homebrew
crazy.
share night, and there was
Yeah.
the people that were in the room at the time, like I think Jerry Nelson was there. I think like all these people who went on to open breweries, like
Yeah.
But we all were like homebrewers at the time.
Yeah.
And I just happened to meet you, and we ended up like going out to Fountainhead that night. But then
I don't remember any of this.
you're like, are you sure? But yeah, and then we just kind of loosely kept in touch here and there. I would run into you occasionally at Beer Fest and whatever else.
But
and
then we saw you at our, we did that debut at Riverview Tavern, and you
Yep.
were there.
Yes, I was there.
And we started
So,
talking,
Yep.
and then you talked to my wife, and my wife's like, you need to talk to this Aaron guy.
What were you working on back at the time before becoming on and brewing at Alarmist?
Right.
What'd you do,
I was,
Aaron?
yeah, again, homebrewer on the weekend.
Yeah.
At the time, I was working at a hotel doing kind of network IT work.
A hotel that now
a very
carries
large hotel.
pantsless
Hello.
on draft.
Hyatt Regency in Chicago.
Yeah, which happens to be the largest Hyatt Regency in the world, right? Is it still
In the
largest?
country, at least.
Oh, just in
It's
the
a
country.
huge hotel.
Yeah.
2,000,
Got
2,000 plus
But
they've been
room hotel.
Yeah, but they've been carrying Dubai.
Yeah.
But they've been carrying pantsless for a long time, so they've been great. So
Yeah, so I was just, an
see
aspiring home brewer on the weekends, and kind of thought about it, and I figured this would be a good career path
and then
for me.
Aaron offered to help, and I said okay, because it was just me, and I'm like losing my shit. And Aaron shows up one day. I'm still trying to figure out the brew system, and Aaron just like going to town. He's like, I can't even tell him what to do. He's like, going on. I'm like, okay, this is going to be the head brewer. It was like done. I mean, I swear to God.
Apparently.
So
And
it
now-
was like
now here we are,
absolute
so.
serendipity. So it's great.
So that's like even more like I guess amazing that you had first brewing job too, and you got this.
Yeah,
medal
yeah.
now.
I don't come from any. I don't come from any.
Okay, start.
Right.
Yeah, isn't
Not
that
bad.
crazy?
Not bad.
And the thing is, I went to brewing school, which was great, but I also interned at Metropolitan Brewing, and Doug, my God, he taught me how to do stuff.
So
Is that Chet Brett?
we got
Give me
some
that
we got some randos
What are you up to,
we got some
man?
randos walking into the brewery right now.
It just like sneaks in the back door.
Wanted to see what we're going to be drinking.
Going to be in the neighborhood.
I was like, there's only like a few people I know that are that tall.
So yeah, you win an award and you get people crashing the place. They just sneak in the back door.
Right.
That's what.
Dude, all we hear is sandals, and you look off into a distance, and there's a 7-footer in an orange shirt. And we're like, he kind of looks like Chet Brett. This guy.
It's only one person that
You can hear the
looks-
sandals go. Well, it's like flip flops going.
Yeah, that was wild.
That was funny.
Need to update security around here.
No shit.
So then, what's next? What do you got coming up? You've already mentioned some beers that are canning.
Our first big issue we have to figure out is production capacity, right? So we're like sitting here just thinking about like, well, how are we gonna keep up with Lejeune? Because we know, I mean, it's gonna take off, and that's only in the Chicago area. We haven't even expanded to anywhere else, so
Yeah.
we've got a lot of problems. So the good problems, but that's what we talk about. So just so you know, we always talk about problems, and you know, don't give me a problem, solve the problem. So we talk about this all the time. So
Yeah.
we gotta like figure out how to up capacity and keep everybody happy as much
Maintain
as we
quality
can, and
and-
maintain quality and all that stuff. So.
Let's level set expectations for people listening. Like, because this isn't a big operation. Like, what kind of like tanks, and then what kind of system, like volume wise, are you
Right.
able to put on?
We're operating on a 20-barrel brew house, and then we have 3 40-barrel fermenters, and then a little 15-barrel fermenter, which is our tap room fermenter. That's where all the tap room beer is going through. So I mean, we're not a huge operation. We're bigger than a lot of people.
Yeah,
but
Josh
it's,
Knoll, he put it. He
he
on
called us a
Chicago
tiny-
Tribune and
tiny
called us
brewery, right?
Tiny brewery.
Or-
I mean,
yeah.
we're
40-barrel fermenters, man. That's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
that's
I mean, that's a lot of beer.
Yeah, but
That's a lot of beer.
That's a good amount
Yeah,
of beer.
but all of a
There's a lot of
sudden,
beer.
like this is not nearly enough capacity for what we're going to need to do, which is a problem I'm happy to solve, but we got to figure it out because we got to get some fermenters in here.
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
That's what happens, man, when you bring home the gold, man. It's buzzing.
Well, I tell you,
yeah.
we
Yeah.
couldn't be happier, and it just, I mean, it's not just like a bragging rights thing. It just feels good because we've been working our asses off, and we've been like struggling, trying, to this is a really competitive market. Chicago's a very competitive market, and we were just starting to look at like maybe going outside of the state, which it has its pluses and minuses, and now it's like this changes everything for us
Yeah.
because if we just with what the capacity we have right now, if we only brewed Lejeune, we're pretty sure we would not be able to keep up with what demand's going to be in the Chicago area,
Nice.
which is a great problem to have. we got to figure it out. So
Yeah, and you know, like you said, the awards aren't the be all end all, but I'm excited that it gives visibility to breweries that were making good beer anyway. You know, it gives us a chance to come hang out. Because we've had Pantsless on the show, we've had Photophobia on the show, and we're like, man, we've been trying to do this for a while. So when we ran into each other at Beer Hop, we're like, this is cool because we've been wanting to do this. So right on.
yeah, we've never been part of the what's the word, the fancy word, just the gestalt of the craft beer world. It's like, oh, this is a brewery that we've heard of, and they make some IPAs and stuff, and this changes everything for us. I mean, we actually start seeing people trying to find our beer on the whaler sites, trying to find the whales.
Yeah, I think the Instagram pictures already had like people like in search of for trade.
And that's great.
I better take some home.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it personally, just because it gives us some legitimacy. I would tell people personally, don't spend ridiculous amounts of money on our beer or anyone else's beer. It's just beer. You know, you'll eventually be able to get it. Yeah, come to Chicago, come to our tap room, and you probably have yourself a good time. So
see, like this guy.
Are you
He's having a great
I
time.
got my car running. I'm gonna screw up.
Oh, okay.
He's like walking out the door like, all right, I'm out.
He's got full beer. He's like, all right,
I got my 20-ounce beer. Like I'm out.
my car's running. I gotta go.
So just in case you couldn't get,
You can keep the glass. It's fine.
just came in with a Imperial pint and a branded pint. He filled it up with, like, I assume Lejeune, and then he just walked out the door. So
Right, he had to get the branded pint
I
too.
love this industry.
This is a very Chet Brett thing to do.
I love
for
this
being
industry.
frank,
The people are so great. It's just awesome. So, but no, it's just like, we were doing okay, but, we're struggling, like, just trying to, we're barely paying the bills. We were doing okay. We weren't going to go out of business or anything, but it was like a cash flow issue, and we're having some issues, and this just changes everything for us. Everything.
And it's great. I mean, we're a very small team here, and we have so many incredible hardworking people here. So it's just such a nice thing to share with everyone.
Yeah, we only got
who has
6
made
people,
this place
right.
possible. Like
Yeah.
we're all working incredibly hard here.
Yeah, every
and
time
to
I
have this
come
happen,
in and Beer Fest, it's same guys.
right?
It's just
We're
you.
not.
And we don't silo ourselves into, I'm the brewer, I'm the taproom manager, and it's like we all collaborate on everything, and nobody has the right answer, and it's been great, and we're really excited to see where it goes from now, because it's just nice to get some recognition for what I think is something we've been working really hard on, and did I just say hard on? Anyway.
Yep.
So Nick, before we
You did.
I love how
Chet,
Nick's like, what the?
I'm like, yeah,
before
that's
Chet
exactly what he
comes
said.
back in and crashes us again, you have like a shout out of the Chicago people that won here. We'll wrap this up.
And we'll give our commentary on them.
This is a good
It'll
way,
all be nice.
good way to wrap it up, man. We're just gonna run through the breweries, man. I think 11, if I'm not mistaken.
You did good this
Hold
year.
on.
Midnight Pig,
Hold on, Chet's still here.
Tighthead, the aforementioned Corridor, who took home 2 medals. Argus, let's see, Smiley
Still open.
Brothers. Argus is still open. Reports of their demise have been greatly exaggerated because they weren't in the Beer Mistress book. We're like, well, did they fucking close?
Can we pause for a second? Chet is back. And Chet's got, Chet's got reader glasses with purple frames.
And this
And-
delicious beer.
Yeah, well, there's the camera, so you gotta get down
Yeah,
here.
you bet.
What's it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Cheers,
mic down there? Let me
Well, no, this is the mic. That's the camera.
You're down there, man. And he spit it out. It's that
That's
good.
gold? Oh, Jerry, that is gold.
They call this a
That
gold
is
medal.
gold.
That doesn't even win cold.
Ah, cheers, everybody.
Walk
that
out.
was awesome.
Walk out.
Congratulations.
Chicago
Thanks, man.
Beer Pass veteran, Chet Brett.
Break the glass.
Maplewood,
Yeah, Maplewood got bronze for Charlatan, right?
yeah,
And,
Workforce, Eris. Cheers to
They
those
got
guys.
they got bronze
Those ladies.
for Hazy.
Yeah.
And
Hazy
that's
IPAs.
awesome.
That's incredible. Like that.
And funny, so Michelle from Foyk from Eris, she texted me today and said, she said, what size are you serving Lejeune in at your there? And I said, well, we're using 12-ounce tulip glasses. But I said, since we've won the gold, we're going to charge the same price for a shot glass. Because if bitches want the gold, they got to pay for the gold. And she started laughing. She's great. But anyway, we're gonna do like a collaboration stuff with
that'd
them.
be awesome.
So.
And with the shot glasses? Is that
Yeah,
thing
we're
too?
only gonna serve the beer and
Okay.
shot glasses. So that's
For the
not-
same
we're-
price?
We're not really gonna do that. We're not douchebags.
We're not gonna do it.
And Revolution.
Yep,
for
straight
the
jacket, right?
Straight jacket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to make a couple more points about this GABF thing, man. Like only 3.4% of all the beers entered. Over 8,000 beers, only 3.4% get a medal. So that's a big deal. But then also, since 1988, this is only the 8th IPA in Chicago history to medal. So
I
that,
didn't-
that's a
Well,
big deal.
shout
That's
out
pretty
to
cool.
Hellstorm,
Yeah,
right?
Hellstorm won last year.
won last year for the
Nick's got
regular
the list. He's
IPA,
got
which
the
is
like,
notes,
yeah,
yeah.
Should we,
I
run
got
through,
it.
should we run through them all?
Yeah, let's do
All right,
it.
cool. So Gate Crasher, that's up in Evanston. That is Temperance.
Oh, yeah.
We've done the show from Temperance.
Yeah.
Half Acre, Gone Away.
Yeah.
Permanent Funeral. So this is Chicagoland. Three Floyds, Permanent Funeral.
Yep.
Prairie Madness last year. This year, Corridors,
Yep.
DDH IPA. Foyken Haze, the Bronze, and the Gold, the Juice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Awesome.
And Goose IPA.
Goose IPA, okay.
Goose IPA.
When did that win?
Wasn't Gatecrasher English?
Yeah.
English bitter.
English,
So there's three.
English
there's-
IPA or
there's
English?
bitter.
English IPA.
Oh, it was English IPA?
So there's American IPA, American Double, then there's English, and now
Okay.
there's Hazy. So there's 4 categories.
Yeah,
there's
that's
4
nuts.
categories. Yeah, of the 8, man, only 1, 2, 3, only 4 have won gold. This is only the 4th gold medal in an IPA category in GABF history in Chicago.
Damn, you're like Mr. Statistician.
Yeah.
You're kind of a nerd there.
I like this. I like this.
Nick, aren't you kind of a little
Push up the
nerd there?
glasses.
I love that shit.
We get excited, man. We get excited.
This is the second GABF IPA from Chicago I had today. I just had a Gone Away with Raj over at Apple.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah, it's.
Hailstorm? You gotta do a
I mean, it's
Hailstorm
very
or Temperance?
exciting
Yeah, that's
because
good fun.
when I started the brewery, I wanted to make sure it was in Chicago. And the funny thing is, we're only like maybe a mile or 2 from another suburb here, but it felt to me like being in Chicago was part of our identity. To me, that was before I learned about all the taxes and bullshit. Just kidding, but it's really important that we're in the city, and I love the city. My kids were born here. I bought my house here. I met my wife here. So it's like everything to me. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thanks, guys, for letting us come up here and joining us. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you. And I suppose the last thing we should talk about is we're getting a lot of requests about where can I buy a Lejeune. And, well, we're sort of out of cans until maybe early next week.
We're kind of out of cans.
Yeah, so
Early next week it'll be
I know
available.
Bottles and Cans here in Chicago, which is great people. They're on Lincoln Avenue, and I believe Bitter Pops. We're in
I saw Beer
Benny's.
Miscuous had a few.
Beer Miscuous.
Yeah.
We really don't know for sure until we get all these reports in, but we've had all of our distributors email us, say, hey, we want like this, and they want like all these cases, and we just don't have them yet. So please be patient. We're not trying to like constrain supply. We're just trying to figure out how to ramp up. And we also had an equipment failure on Saturday, which we just got up and running today.
The glycol chiller.
Yeah, which delayed us by 40, because we have a barrel, 40 barrels of Lejeune over there cold crashing right now. And if you don't have refrigeration, you can't do anything. So we're up and running again.
all is well
Thank
right now.
God. Thank God. So everybody, please be patient. We will get the beer out. We're just we don't want to sacrifice quality just to get it out the door. And we have a lot of problems to figure out, but we will get there. And thank you so much, everybody, for the support. It's been really awesome.
Aaron Dahl, Gary Gulley, Chet Brett.
Surprise!
A special guest.
Surprise guest. Surprise
I gotta
guest.
tell you, I used to be a big fan of Johnny Carson back in the day. I just feel like one of those guys who popped on. Say hello.
You're like, is this mic on?
This was cool, guys.
Yeah, thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for coming,
Thank
you
you.
guys.
I'm sure we'll be back next week with
All right.
another episode. Take care.
Cheers.